what is up? Welcome back to another episode of the Playing to Win series. I'm joined by my good friend today, Jay Campbell. How you doing, brother?
Richard, man, it's always an honor, man. How are you?
Good. It's always fun. I haven't seen you in a while, and I can't remember what we talked about last time. It's something around maybe TRT or other healing property items, but we got something new for you guys today. It's kind of a personal one for me because I shared this on social media. And it's interesting because we linked up talking about this back in like August, September. And then I was flipping tires at the gym and I pulled my IT band. At first I thought it was my groin, but it turned out to be the IT band, which is basically a ligament that goes from your knee joint all the way up to basically your lower back almost. I don't know if you've ever injured that part of your body before.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Once you get the IT band down, man, you got to get a massage, ART, active release. Yeah. But thankfully we have amazing peptides, which we're going to talk about now, that can help too. But yeah, dude, the IT band is like a rubber band. Yeah. So when it gets pulled out, it pulls, like you said, your sacrum, your erectors. It's a horrible, gnarly injury.
Yeah, it's really bad. And after it happened, like a lot of guys were like, that's going to take months to heal. Like that's a real bad part of your body that's, takes a while to heal because, especially if you're walking around on it, like you're constantly irritating it. And I pulled it about a week before I had this fall rally scheduled in the Laurentian run. So we basically went from Toronto all the way up to Mont Tremblant in Quebec. And we did this big loop around there. We came back, you see all the fall colors. It was amazing. But my main car, like my exotic, is the Audi R8 V10, and that's a manual. And I pulled the IT on my left leg. So I didn't really want to be clutching for like 3 days straight. Yeah. So I ended up taking the S5, which was an automatic. And I even posted on my community tab, like a couple weeks before that, I'm like, hey guys, I'm going to do this rally. Do you guys want me to capture some footage and upload? And everybody's like, hell yeah. But I didn't even bother because I was in so much pain, basically. Like I couldn't walk. I remember there was this one night, after dinner, we went over to one of the guys' rooms. We just kind of sat around, had a few drinks and chilled out. And my leg was in so much pain, I couldn't stand. My girl got one of those dollies that they use to move the luggage, like around the hotels. Yeah. I sat on that and she pushed me back to the room because it was it was too much. But anyway, I started using some BPC 157 and some active release massage a couple weeks after that. And when did I hurt it? It was about the third week of September, or a month later, not even 3 weeks later. And honestly, I feel really good. Like I'm walking on it without any pain. I'm going up and down stairs without any pain. So I wanted to deliver this to you guys, from the perspective of healing, because as you get older as a dude, it's like, let's stop chasing women. Let's chase excellence. Let's talk about, what it's like to be the best version of yourself as you're getting older. Because a lot of guys out there, there's some other biohackers out there. I remember a couple of weeks ago, there was a video somebody posted from Dave Asprey. I don't know if you subscribe to his notion, but dude looks like shit these days. Like,
bro, Dave Asprey and I are not friends, but I will not disparage him on.
Okay, well, I'll say it because I watched the video and I met him like 10 years ago, and I was like, dude looks like shit, and he's the same age as me. Like he's within born in the same month as me, right? So, I'm not sure that I would trust his advice when it comes to anti-aging. And I was telling the guys in the group, I'm like, listen up, I'm going to be doing something with Jay on peptides in a few weeks. So make sure you watch that one because that'll have everything you need. I mean, when it comes to anti-aging stuff, I usually look towards Ben Greenfield and you. You're closer to my age. In fact, you're older than me. I think you're what, 48, 49?
I'm 49. I'll be 50. You're going to be getting an invite to the old 50th bath pretty soon, dude. I'm like 5 months away.
All right. But yeah, man, like you're looking good for your age. Like I ran into you last summer when I was in LA, we had dinner, and I remember looking at you going and thinking to myself, this guy doesn't look like anywhere near his age. And he actually looks younger than me, even though he's older than me. Right. So when it comes to anti-aging stuff, again, you're the guy that I defer to. So
thanks, brother.
Let's start talking about peptides. So why are peptides so useful? What are they? What's the importance and significance in them, for guys when it comes to anti-aging? Take it from wherever you need to go.
Yeah, for sure, brother. And again, honored, humbled, privileged always to be on your show, man. You help a lot of men around the world. I've turned a lot of guys onto you too. But again, it's just always an honor to be here. So peptides, really, without getting into a crazy, esoteric discussion, which my business partner, which we'll talk about him at some point, which I'm definitely going to have him come on the show with you because he can really break this stuff down even better than me. are really just like sequences of amino acids that when used in the body can do all sorts of amazing things, as you know, healing, cognition, immunity, fat loss, muscle gain, injury recovery, repair. I mean, there's stuff that's out there that we're not even using yet that has already been sequenced by biochemists and molecular biologists that can literally do regrow limb. Right? So it's I like to say it's the now. You know, a lot of guys are like, oh, peptides are the future of medicine, but it's really right now. And again, if you know guys like you know guys like me, they're out there, right? You just have to be very careful where you're getting them from. So as you know, I sent you an article yesterday or 2 days ago that Ben Greenfield recently wrote. Ben and all three of us are obviously all very close friends about what's happening with the regulation. And, you know, to, again, make a very long story short, the FDA, all these acronyms of these, you know, these corporations. I mean, you already know the story, Richard. Your audience is educated, right? The corporations are cracking down on people. They want all the money, and they are outlawing a lot of different peptides from like legal pharmaceutical use. Now, that doesn't mean they're gone. And a year ago, you and I would not have this conversation because, as I told you before, I didn't really want to get into the game of recommending people out there that sell peptides because of the quote unquote laws the pharmaceutical industry was attempting through compounding pharmacies to sell them. As you know, I had a really good relationship, or still do, obviously, but with TaylorMade, who is the biggest compounding pharmacy in the world selling peptides. And they were literally shut down technically by the FDA and selling all of their peptides to the marketplace. Now, obviously, they were doing this legally. They had doctors from all over the world, some of the best doctors in the world, many of them who are my close personal friends that were buying peptides from TaylorMade. And then again, the FDA, like Big Brother does, comes in and says no more. So you and I are here today talking about these things because they're still out there. It's just a matter of like, where do you get them? How do you trust the source? And I have been very reluctant, as you know, up until recently, to recommend anybody because Nick, again, my business partner with the Seer Custom, which we'll talk about before the show is over, tests them. This is his business. He's an analyst. He works actually very, very high level inside the FDA, testing pharmaceutical companies and products and blah, 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 doing all various levels of consulting. And he would be like, bro, this company is no go. This company tests out at X. So anyway, we were just like, okay, not going to happen. We'll wait until something else happens. Something else with a company by the name of Limitless Life Nootropics. The owner obviously is a friend of you and I's, came to me about 5 months ago and was like, hey, dude, look, man, what can I do? How can you and I partner? Let me send you my stuff. I want you to test my products. I want you to look at my stuff. I want you to tell me, if my stuff passes the Pepsi challenge. So anyway, long story short, my audience knows I've been recommending them for about 6 weeks now. And, Rich, he asked me, he's like, do you have some of your friends that, you have big influences in the male communities and obviously around the world? And I, of course, mentioned you and said, Richard's a guy, send some of the products to Richard and let him test them. And then here we are today. So, I mean, basically there's a company that Richard can talk about. He has obviously a referral link. We're both obviously recommending this company called Limitless Life Nootropics. And they sell all of the various peptides that any man or woman today who is aging and, again, battling all these amazing conditions and afflictions as we get from training hard and being just tough, rough guys can stop. So do you want to just kind of go down the path of like which ones are which, doing what?
Yeah. Do you want to start with the creams when it comes to anti-aging skin and hair rejuvenation? You want to do that one first?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm glad you did that. So it's easier to seg. So I own a company, full disclosure, called ASEIRcustom.com. It's ASEIR custom, CUSTUM.com. And along with my business partner, Nick Andrews, who's the biochemical formulator, he's a very high level biochemical engineer. We have created three separate products right now. One of them or two of them are for the face and really anywhere on the body, but we sell them for face and serums and creams. And one of them is called Royal Blue Serum and the other one is Sky Blue Cream. Now, again, this is my company. Yep.
And I've used these, by the way, for the last 60 to 90 days or so.
Yep. So I'll let you talk about them. But, just from a biological standpoint, they are copper peptide GHKCU. Now, you can Google this. You can research this. Rich can talk about this. But it's the strongest, it's probably topical peptide that a person can put on their face, because copper peptides rejuvenate through the process of angiogenesis, cellular healing, blood regrowth and reconstitution. Essentially, angiogenesis is the increase of red blood cells to the targeted area. So the more rich of blood cell production in that area, the more regrowth and more tissue regeneration you're going to have. So when you put this stuff on your face, like, probably there's some guys watching us right now and they're like, oh my God, Jay and Richard are putting women's face creams. No, these creams literally are for guys that are taking sparring, so taking shots to the face, training, because it literally heals from a cellular level. So, I think
I read an article somewhere that MMA fighters use this stuff after they get their face smashed up.
Yeah, dude. So we actually have right now, I shouldn't mention their names, but just think of some of the most famous guys in the world in the full contact fighting realm who are like, hey man, we want to promote your products. We're using them ourselves. Mm-hmm. So yeah. So, basically, it leads to another conversation, but basically if you get cut, snicks, whatever, you get jacked, you're gagging, all your face is all nasty. You put this stuff on and literally within 24 to 36 hours, you're healed. Now, as you know, Richard, when you put the GHK copper peptide on it, it's kind of like a purplish blue, yellow, not yellow, but it has a purplish blue hue.
Yeah, that's the serum because there's 2 bottles. So I use this one first and then I follow up with the cream, right?
Exactly. So exactly. I should let you tell.
And by the way, the link for these, if you guys want to get them, they're below. They're also pinned in the top comment. Yes, it's an affiliate link. It helps support the creation of this. But this stuff, honestly, it's only been 90 days for me, and I don't look 20 years younger after using it. Like I always tell you guys, like there's no shortcut. There's no like hacks to, take a pill and lose 20 pounds in a week, or rub some cream under your eye and you'll wipe away 20 years of aging. What I have noticed though is I get here, I'm going to take this out of the screen though. But in the summertime with UV radiation and just being out in the hot sun, if I'm not wearing a hat, I get a little U-shaped dark spot here on my upper forehead. Mm-hmm. And with this GK or GHK creams, serum and the cream that you guys sent me, that thing went away within 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's insane, dude. Yeah.
And usually it's there for pretty much until December, January. I got to be out of the sun for 5-6 months for it to go away. But it's you can't see it. You'll see it in some of the older videos, especially from the summertime if I'm not wearing a hat. But the stuff seems to work from my perspective as, an experienced user.
Yeah, well, there's tons of science, obviously. We always, me, right? I don't promote anything unless there's science behind it. And obviously I've used it myself. Now, just so people have a little background on the company, Nick and I, like you and I, met on Twitter about 4 years ago. Actually, I think we both met 4 years ago. And he just came to me and he's like, hey man, this is what I do. He's like, maybe you and I could partner in doing some things. He was very brazen and ballsy. I didn't know the guy. We had talked on Twitter and stuff like that, but he's a really smart guy and really cool guy. Anyway, become best friends, obviously business owners. In fact, he's coming out here to my new crib tomorrow night. He flies into San Diego, but he told GAC a long time. And he was sending these basement rude batches to me, and my wife. And so my wife, Monica, was using them, dude, for, 8 or 9 months before we even had the company. And I swear to you, dude, at the end of every month when she would run out of the bottle, she would literally freak out. And she'd run to me. She's like, you got to get more of that stuff. You get Nick to send me more. So, fast forward to November of last year, we launched the company. We really weren't doing any marketing. It was just me promoting it, like you do, but I don't have near the traffic and following that you have. But in June, Ben Greenfield promoted the face stuff, right? And the same day that Ben Greenfield promoted the face stuff, which again, there's no coincidences in the world, we launched our hair loss product, which is called Oxano Grow. And without screaming about how we've changed the world with it, which we kind of have, more on that in a minute, that's just blown our company up. So, literally from $10,000, $8,000 to $10,000 a month in sales to 65 to 70. And now it's just scaling from there without even doing any paid traffic and marketing yet. That's kind of where we are. And, Richard, you can talk a little bit about it, but let me just say this, take my headset a little bit down. You guys can go on my YouTube channel, and Rich knows this.
Here, I'll go solo here for you so people can see.
Yeah, you can look at my hair, but if you go back on my YouTube channel and just look at my hair in literally April and May, you will see that I was almost bald. I have a little bit of growth. In fact, my hair growth was so bad that I actually did the Vantis micro scalp pigmentation in December of last year. Because I pretty much was like, you know what, I don't want to, I'm going to be like Richard. I'm just going to go chrome dome, but I want to have a little bit of a 5 o'clock shadow there. So I had them do the micro pigmentation. Well, before I start using what I'm saying, right? So here's the thing. This shit works. It doesn't cause hair loss. Post drop or stoppage hair loss like minoxidil or Rogaine or any of that shit. It's not a drug. So it's not going to inhibit your DHT, which is your dihydrotestosterone, which obviously controls sexual function and libido and well-being. So you never want to touch those things. And it works. Now, you know, I'm saying that obviously as the owner of the company, you guys can probably say, oh, Jay's a shill, but it's absolutely true. I'm going to let Richard talk a little bit about it in a second, but you know, just so the biologics and or the biological understanding is you're essentially, the product has GHKCU again. So the copper peptide at a higher concentration for the scalp, and also specially prepared combination in combination with nanomolecule carbon-60. Now
Jay, I'm going to get you to kill your video because your audio keeps cracking. I don't know if you've.
Is it me banging in a speaker maybe with this because I'm moving?
No, I think it's your connection. I think you've just got a weak connection or something. So just kill the video feed and let's just do audio and see if
really. I have like 900 up and down right now. Huh. Okay. How do I kill the video? Oh, there it is.
Bottom of your screen, it says stop cam.
Stop.
Nope. We lost him. I'm sure he'll click the link and come back in. He must hit the leave studio button, but let's see if he can get his thing working. Anyway, while he's figuring that out, I'll just talk about this stuff for just a second here. Let me just add back to the stream. So stop screen, share screen, application. There we go. So this stuff here is what they sent me, and it's a 2-package deal. There's serum A and then there's serum B. And you basically put A on your head and let it soak in, and then you put B on afterwards. There he is. Welcome back.
Dude, that was the weirdest thing ever. You were still talking and everything was fine.
Yeah. Well, just leave the video up for now if it's okay, but it was cutting out on my end. I don't know if you guys saw it.
Dude, that's insane. You were fine.
Well, let's leave it then.
Okay.
Okay, so let's throw this back up on the screen. And how do I put these back up here? Share screen, put up on the screen. Remove.
Wow, that was weird.
Hang on. Technical difficulties.
Yeah,
guys.
streaming.
There we
live.
go. Anyway, so this is the stuff here. So I've only used this stuff for like 90 days. Now, I'm the kind of guy that just said, F it. I'm just going to shave my head. I don't want to hold on to scraps. He sent me the skin cream first, and then he's like, I've also got the hair cream. I'm like, well, I don't have much hair. I mean, I didn't want to hold on to scraps, so I just shaved my head. I'm like, send it over. I mean, if it works, it'll be a freaking miracle. I'm sure you'll sell a ton of it. But I mean, it's only been about a month of usage. I haven't seen anything that I could report back and say, okay, it looks like, you know, I'm growing a ton hell more hair. But I got 2 bottles upstairs, and I got these extra ones that you guys sent me. So I'll run through all of them. Mm-hmm. I know there's nothing in here that's, you know, pharmacologically going to ruin my scalp or kill me or anything like this, because I know it's just peptides. But I mean, probably by the end of November, December, I'll finish like all the bottles that you've sent. And if there's a significant improvement, then I'll just be honest with you guys and tell you straight up, you know, grab some. But I don't have less hair. Like when I let it kind of like get all spiked out like that, you know, like it is today. I mean, I don't know if you can. The lighting's not right, but I mean,
you can see it. There's a shadow. Yeah,
like there's a shadow up top, but I haven't let it grown in. So we'll see what happens. But with you, it actually worked. Like I remember you last summer when we sat down and had dinner. Like you were holding on to scraps at that time. Like you still had hair, but then you shaved it, and then you did kind of like the scalp pigmentation. Then I heard about this stuff after you started using it. It seems to be working on you though.
Dude, it's unbelievable. I mean, we have, and again, you know, I have so many people, and you guys will see this. You can go to the website, you know, there's tons of testimonials that are there, but we've probably gotten 50 to 60 of guys who have been using it for 3 months. And obviously, again, you know, full disclosure, we launched on June 5th, right?
I think you have a picture here of your scalp. Yeah, here it is. Let me throw it up on the screen. Yeah, so this is, so
that's the micropigmentation.
Yeah, so that's the micropigmentation, which is the shadow on your head.
Yeah, exactly. Right? So my hair was pretty much bald.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously, you know, full disclosure, I've been using it now consistently for almost 6 months. right? So, you know, and a lot of that, like that other guy on the far left is like one of our first beta test users, but we just have a lot more people now that have been using it consistently for 90 days. If you go in the testimonials, we've got guys who have literally, you know, in 2 weeks shown noticeable growth. So, but, you know, just again, from a biologic standpoint, it's two separate products, the GHKCU copper peptide, and then the nanomolecule carbon 60 combined in synergy, they regrow the hair. Now, here's the really good things that I want to tell people. So we're basically partnering with the same company that did my micropigmentation. They're down in Newport Beach. They're called Vantis. They're a very big shop, probably the biggest micropigmentation company in the world, to deliver an Oxano clinical grade line. Now, you know, before people say, oh, well, why would I buy your product if I want to go into clinical grade? Anybody can go into the clinical trial. But what we're going to do, again, to get data, is starting probably around Black Friday, and we'll probably have a sales page that'll start a couple of weeks in advance. But we're going to do a trial, depending on how many people want to do it, of a product that Nick has formulated that is, no exaggeration, Richard, like 3 to 5 times more effective than the current Oxano Grow, which we already know works. Now, what is in it so people understand? Well, it's going to be a higher grade oil for the carbon 60. So what that means is that you're going to get a lot higher net amount of carbon 60. And it's going to be in grapeseed oil extract. So the grapeseed oil is a very, very thin oil. And it's also a very highly absorbable, very emollient oil. So when you put this now in your hair, you're going to get much better absorption and much more even delivery, because what we've done is we've engineered the bottles to be micro sprays. So right now, as you know, and I didn't bring them in front of me, but you just showed them. I mean, they're basically a little squirt, you know, at the end.
Yeah, it's like a squirt bottle.
Yeah, you squirt it into your hand and then you just massage it into your scalp. This one is going to be like a leave-in conditioner. And we also are in the clinical version. Nick has 2 other peptides, which I will not name right now, that will be in the GHKCU, which are dramatic stimulators of hair. And as you said, again, nothing risky, no side effects. All of the peptides that we'll be using have been using in the cosmeceutical upscale industry for 30 plus years, you know, with results. But it's funny because Nick is a very smart guy, as you know, and he's, you know, reverse engineered some of these things. Like one of them is an eyelash peptide that women use to enhance their eyelash strength, right? So he found, and this is what you're going to love, and your listeners are going to love this. He found that this peptide, when used in this combination, like massively regrows beards. So the cool thing is he's like, you know, the secondary effect of the clinical version will that guys will be able to actually, and obviously we're going to create a separate product.
Yeah, it's the same kind of hair, I figure. It's like fairly coarse and thick hair.
Yes, but we'll be able to create a separate product, which isn't what we're doing right now, for guys.
There's a lot of guys that message me and they always say to me, you know, how do you grow a thicker beard? Yes. It grows out in like patches and stuff.
Exactly. Oh, dude, this will dramatically upregulate. Like for men that cannot grow beards, this will grow the beard. But I don't want to like get sidetracked. So anyway, the clinical stuff, we have 4 people that have been using the clinical stuff, and it's so insane. I'm not using it because I haven't actually got it from Nick, because I want to look like I want to use people that are not me. I want to get people that have no affiliation with us and, you know, show them. But I mean, 2 women and 2 men, and it's so crazy. Like, put it this way, we're going to fix hair loss. Like this product will absolutely shut down whether you have androgenic, you know, alopecia, which is obviously male pattern baldness, or you have like post-luteal, you know, like women that have hair loss when they get to perimenopause and post-menopause and all that stuff. So essentially, this product is going to fix that. And, you know, just real quick, because when guys watch this podcast, they're going to be like, holy fuck, how do I get in that trial? There'll be more information coming. Richard, you'll be able to promote it. But it's probably going to start sometime like 2 weeks before Black Friday. So obviously I'll give you information. You can promote it to your group and stuff like that. But we're probably going to take between 250 and 500 people to go in the trial. And it's a 12-month trial. So basically you'll pay one fee. You'll then get the product sent to you every 30 to 45 days. Because again, remember, they're peptides. And then you just stay in the trial, and, you know, you can't really fail because you're paying for the whole 12-month trial in advance. And then basically at the end of the year, we're going to use your data to show what kind of hair loss, I mean, what kind of results you'll get. But we're very, very confident that no one will not get tremendous results from it.
Okay. So that's the Acer custom. Here, I'll drop it again. Some people have put in the comments that it goes to a 404 not found page on Acer custom. that's fine. Just click the products at the top and use coupon Rich15 when you check out. That'll make sure that you get the savings code applied. Before we go to the peptides for healing the body with injuries, because that's really what I wanted to spend a lot more time on, because I think that's really, really impressive from my own experience, and I've done this for the last few years. How is the Acer Custom anti-aging hair and skin stuff different? Well, let's talk about the hair stuff. Like, how is it different from something like minoxidil, or there's the other orals that people take that basically lower your DHT? Like, what's the difference between peptides and finasteride? That's it.
Okay.
But I mean, so that also ruins your sex drive too, doesn't it?
Yeah, dude. So this is a whole, dude. We should just do a whole show on this because it's a very deep conversation.
So basically, scale it down for like 10 minutes.
I'm going to scale it down. I'm going to just do like 2 minutes. But basically, the hair loss industry is backward. Again, big pharma and their urge to make money created products that people had to stay on because the results that you got were gradual, if anything. And then as soon as you would withdraw, like anybody who's used minoxidil or Rogaine knows, your hair falls out.
Because I've used minoxidil. I mean, I used it in my 20s. It didn't really do much.
No, well, I mean, dude, there's, again, groups on the internet, I'm sure thousands of your audience knows this, that when you stop using Rogaine or minoxidil, it literally, your hair falls out. It's horrible. But again, to answer your question, the issue with hair loss is that they are attacking select components like DHT or not selecting for the inflammation response that's in the scalp. And as you know, Richard, we talked about this on the many podcasts I've done with you now, that everything that leads to the breakdown of cell biology is due to inflammation. And inflammation can come from everything, right? Poor lifestyle, lack of sleep, shitty diet, drinking too much alcohol, eating too much sugar, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's the same thing that's actually happening in your scalp. So our product is increasing blood flow and essentially eradicating inflammation at the follicular root in the scalp. And so once you do that, you allow your body's natural processes, regardless, again, whether of your genetic factors and your age or any of that stuff, to enhance and essentially regrow hair in the scalp. And those drugs, which we did mention that you mentioned, dutasteride and finasteride, inhibit dihydrotestosterone. And when you inhibit dihydrotestosterone, it's the dumbest thing that you could possibly do, because dihydrotestosterone is responsible for well-being. It's responsible for the dopamine effect in the brain. And obviously it's also responsible for the sexual functioning effect. So that's why a lot of guys that use it can't get wood, because it's actually lessening through a process of a progestinic effect in the body. It's lessening your body's anabolic signal for testosterone. So it's horrible pathways that all of these companies that have manufactured for hair loss and regrowth have gone down. And essentially Nick has re-engineered it. I will send you a link, which that you should definitely put in the show notes. We wrote a really amazing article about it a month ago, maybe 5 weeks ago, on how OxanoGrow works in comparison to all of those other products.
Okay, cool. So I'll grab that and I'll drop that in the comments afterwards. So let's talk about peptides now to heal the body. There's another link that I got here. So I'm just going to throw it up so we can go through them kind of like one by one.
Sure.
Let's see here. Remove, add to stream. There we go. So this is from Limitless Nootropics, which is another company. I'll grab the link here for that one if you guys want to get those peptides. Again, this is also pinned in the top comments if you're watching the replay, because the live chat, from what I understand, doesn't always show up there. But so let's go through them one by one, because the one that I've used is BPC 157. So let's start with that one. I've used this for the last couple of years. I first learned about it about 3 or 4 years ago. I was in a group with Ben Greenfield, actually. He was telling us to use this to heal my knee, because I've always had a bad left knee. I've just done stupid things to my body, but whatever. And it was a injectable, so you'd have to use something like this to jam it in your body. And at the time, I wasn't on TRT. I wasn't familiar with needles. It wasn't something that I was super excited about doing, especially jamming a needle into a knee joint. But you know, after you get comfortable with it, when you get on TRT, it's like no big deal, and you hurt your knee again, or a shoulder joint or something like that. It's actually pretty easy to do. Let me just quickly go full screen here to kind of educate you guys a little bit, because this sort of stuff looks scary, right? Normally, you know, you're going to use that to draw, and if you take a look at that, like, I don't know if you can see the needle, but it's not small. Like, you don't want to go jamming that into your knee joint because it's not something that you're used to doing. And it's obviously like your lizard brain is basically saying, what are you doing, stupid? But if you draw the peptide into one of these larger syringes and then you backfill a insulin syringe, from the back over here, it does two things. One, it preserves the integrity of the tip of your insulin needle. And it's also a much, much smaller needle. This is a 30 gauge 5/8. All you have to do is basically pinch your skin up and just kind of, put it in between your fingers, where you pinch the skin in that joint. And then you inject a little bit of peptide in there. And this stuff is it's like magic. I can't even, praise this enough. Let me add this back to stream. There you are. So talk about BPC 157, how it works, why it works, all that stuff.
So it is. So first off, let me echo your sentiment. It is magic. There is nothing that BPC 157, which stands for Body Protective Compound 157. So it's a peptide. Again, a bunch of amino acid protein sequence that causes healing. And again, same thing is similar to what GHKCU does. It increases the flow of red blood cells, stimulating collagen synthesis, again, through the process of what is called angiogenesis. All of this, really what these peptides are doing is massively accelerating and stimulating your body's natural processes to repair and rebuild damaged, traumatized tissue. So I've been using, by the way, just so you know, I've been using BPC 157 since 2011. And then ipamorelin, which we'll talk about, since 2009, actually 2008. So I've been using peptides for a long time. At one time, peptides were really just kind of an underground, bodybuilding, fitness enthusiast, performance enhancement communities. But now they're obviously mainstream, which we'll talk about. But BPC 157, every man over the age of 35 should have these in their refrigerator year round, because if you get hurt for anything, you want to inject this locally to the point of origin in the tissue, and the healing response it's insane. I mean, again, like, I have this debate all the time with orthopedic surgeons, many of whom I'm very good friends with. I won't mention some of their names, but they're like, on one side of their world, they have a regenerative, functional medicine practice where they're prescribing peptides to all their patients. And on the other side of the world, they're performing surgeries and ACLs and MCL repairs and all that, and grafts. And they're like, I always say to them, I'm like, how the hell do you do that? And they're like, well, it's really hard because, I'm a partner in this practice. So again, medicine is now kind of in the golden age dividing line, where it's like they have to decide whether they want to write scripts for peptides, which they're obviously precluded from doing, unfortunately, which Big Pharma is making that happen, versus performing surgeries. But Richard, just real quick to summarize that, the smartest orthopedic surgeon that I know in the world, who's one of the top 3 in the entire world, said, and it's a she said, if I had my druthers, I would prescribe TB 500 and BPC 157 for every single one of my male patients over the age of 40 who came in wanting an ACL repair or wanting an MCL repair, because the regrowth of those peptides is far greater and creates more stability than any surgery they can repair or reattach the tendons. So it's interesting to hear that from somebody of that magnitude saying that. So we both know that where these are going, who knows?
Yeah. And when I injured my IT versus knee, so what I did was I just basically grabbed a chunk of skin and fat, like in the side by my hip, like where most of the pain was.
Sure.
And I did a shot daily for about 4 or 5 days. Helped a ton.
Yeah, the pain went away.
Very easy to do. Luckily, I had a bottle in my fridge still for my last order. It was my last bottle, so I got to reorder. So I got to hop on here and get some more from you guys. But like, this is something that you like. If you're involved in sports, you lift weights, you run, you play soccer, like anything, you're at a dojo or anything. If you get an injury, you don't want to sit around for months trying to heal, or just, moping about it on your couch, like a Nancy. Get this stuff and keep it in your fridge, because it keeps for, like, how long does this stuff keep?
I mean, truthfully, that's a great question.
Like, if it's in powder form, how long does it keep in your fridge?
So lyophilized, it can probably last for years as long as you keep it refrigerated. But even when you reconstitute it, Nick and I have done this, and we're going to do a podcast, or not a podcast, but a blog about this. Nick doesn't think that it will denature below 72%. So what that means is, if you keep it in your refrigerator, even reconstituted, again, cool, you're going to get some value out of it for a long time.
Okay, but in powder form, it can stay.
Oh, it'll maintain its efficacy for probably 15 months in powder form.
Yeah, and it's super. Like, do you guys sell the water that you have to use to reconstitute it, or do you get that from a medical supplier?
You can get it from Limitless. They will sell it, but I mean, he recommends, and I recommend too, just to go on Amazon or any place and just buy bacterial static water in bulk and put it.
Yeah, that's what I did. I just got a big tray of it, and I just buy it in bulk.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's BPC 157. That to me is by far the most useful healing peptide that I've ever used. I want to go through.
Let's just talk about Thymus and Beta real quick, because you want to use both of them in combination. So if you seriously traumatize
Thymus and Beta, hang on a sec. Let me just pull it up here.
Yeah, no worries.
Melatonin.
So it's basically TB500 is what people know it, and there's also TB400. But basically, it's Thymus and Beta. So basically, if you use combination, and this comes from Nick, but if you use Thymus and Beta and BPC 157 in combination, you will literally accelerate healing 7 to 10x. And if you use them in like a very industrial sized dosage, you can literally repair completely torn tissue in like 4 weeks, which would normally be 12
is more
weeks.
for the muscle, and BPC 157 targets the joint, right?
Exactly.
And you would inject TB500 into the muscle or into the joint?
So you would, I mean, basically that's a great question. You can actually do both. You can take one in syringe, one, micro syringe, and take the TB500 and the BPC together. And, Tailor Made, which obviously, poor Tailor Made, they're not being able to sell this anymore, but they used to be able to put them together. I mean, I still have probably like 5 vials of Tailor Made stuff in my refrigerator, which is a combo of them. Mm-hmm. And whenever I get hurt, I instantly eject before I go to bed at night. But yeah, I mean, both of those things will radically improve healing and speed healing. And they really are golden age medications. The idea that more people don't know about them just blows my mind.
I got a question here from a channel member on YouTube. He says, I'd love to know what Jay's opinion is on TB500 protocol as using TB500 on a regular basis after a loading phase.
So it's a great question. You and I should do a podcast probably on Q&A on peptides, because there's so much misinformation out there. It's important to know that no peptide should be used all the time regularly. They should literally be used. How would I say it? Like there should be like a dosage, an on and off, so kind of get traumatized, seriously critical acute injury, then you should be using it for probably, depending on when you heal, but be somewhere between 7 to 12 weeks, 8 to 12 weeks, maybe even 6 to 8 weeks if it's a small injury. But as far as protocols, there's a lot of different ones. I'll send it to you. I'll share Nick's like acute versus non-acute traumas, and then you can just post them in the notes without going into like a detailed discussion. But just remember, everything with peptides should be cycled. You should not be using, well, actually, with the exception of one peptide, which we'll talk about for immunity, especially in the COVID era. But you should always cycle your peptides.
All right. I want to hit on another one that I've used, Epitalon. So Epitalon, where did that one go? I just clicked it. It took me to the wrong page. Let's go back here.
Just search.
This one here.
There it is, yeah.
Right. So Epitalon, explain what that is, because I've used that twice, and it's kind of funny because I was using it last winter, and I think I did, I did a cycle, whatever it was that Nick had recommended. And around the time after that, somebody said in the comments, dude, stop dyeing your beard. But I wasn't dyeing my beard. It's like this stuff actually darkens your hair. Like it stops the gray from coming out. So explain what Epitalon is. So
by the way, just so you know too, that's funny. I mentioned that. So this is Oxana Grow has actually darkened my hair too, because you can kind of see like how much gray it is on the side. You see? So it does the same thing, but basically Epitalon works in a very similar fashion. So basically what Epitalon does is it increases telomere length. Okay. So you want to use Epitalon like twice a year. Some guys use it 3 times a year. I would just tell you to do it once every 6 months. But it's a very, very powerful life extension / anti-aging peptide, because we die and degrade as physical beings through the telomere. It's basically an enzyme called telomerase. The caps shorten and fall off, and the faster they shorten and fall off, the faster we age. And what Epitalon does is actually increases the length of the telomere. So essentially, it enhances and basically gives you longer life. So obviously what you noticed in the darkening of your hair.
So telomeres are part of your DNA
spiral, the
spiral.
helix. Yep.
And obviously the healthier your DNA is, the longer you're going to live, realistically speaking. There's a couple of people that have like tested this stuff, and they've had their telomere length tested before using this and after, and it's proven to work.
Yeah. There's tons of science on Epitalon. That was like Ryan Smith, who's like the big biochemist guru from TaylorMade. He loves Epitalon. He always talks about all the studies and the science and data on it. But that's what you noticed, is you noticed, again, darkening, again, which is what peptides are doing, right? Same thing with the GHKCU, is it's strengthening the body's biologic processes of healing and rejuvenation and restoration, again, through the process of angiogenesis. So that's what telomerase is doing, Epitalon is doing, is it's strengthening your telomeres, which is increasing all the other biological processes of aging. So it's not obviously a peptide that you're going to use like you would use like ipamorelin or tesamorelin or the healing peptides, which we're going to talk more about in a second here, but it is definitely something to put into an anti-aging process. I would say if you're 45 and older, should absolutely use Epitalon twice a year.
Yeah. I've been using it for the last, I'm going to say, year and a half. I'll probably do another one come in November, December. I usually grab one towards the end of the year around my birthday, but
sure.
Yeah, like it's not cheap. I mean, for you to do like a full cycle, I think the last one cost me about $700.
Yep.
Because you have to have enough vials, and then the injection frequency. All of that, by the way, is that on the site somewhere, like where it tells people how to use it and in what frequency?
Yeah. So, I mean, when you order, well, it's a great question. When you order, they send you a package insert with your products on like how to use them and stuff like that. But also their customer service is amazing. So if you have a question, you just ping them. And actually that brings up a really good point. A lot of guys watch our stuff and they're like, if Jay and Richard are doing it, then I want to do it too. I tell guys all the time, and I'm actually a part of the bottleneck here, is that you need to really educate yourself on peptides, because it's not something that you can just like buy out of a package and start using. There's reconstitution, there's understanding microgram versus milligram. Nick and I have actually written a book. It's called The Peptide Handbook. It's absolutely amazing. It should have come out 2 months ago. No excuses, but COVID, all the other bullshit. The problem that we're having is actually getting it into a printable format with all the charts and all the conversions and all that stuff. I've talked to 4 different publishing companies, and nobody has anybody that is science geeky enough to do what we need. So that book, Nick and I are going to streamline it, and we're talking about it this weekend, but that book should be out early first quarter of next year. And that book will be an absolute must have, especially for newbies and guys that like want to learn how to use peptides, because again, it's like little things about, again, reconstitution. What's the difference in a syringe between milligrams and micrograms? How do I convert, with a peptide calculator? So again, there's math and again, little idiosyncrasies that guys don't understand who've never used peptides. And I get always, and you probably will too, I get emails from guys saying, dude, I don't understand. Or, a guy injects an entire bottle of tesamorelin instead of a microgram. So again, there is some, confusion around peptides, again, because of the science behind it. And by the way, doctors are just as clueless as the average Joe when it comes to
don't ask a doctor
peptides.
About this stuff.
No.
They wouldn't have a clue. I mean, 99% of them don't even know how to script testosterone for therapeutic use. So let's do ipamorelin, because this is another one that I've used for fat loss as well. Talk about how this works and why it works.
So this is my favorite peptide. So I've been using this peptide since 2008.
Is this an on and off one, or is this one?
Yeah,
that you just stay on all the time?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I think personally, if there's one peptide that you can use year round, it would be this peptide. And for this very specific reason, it's the only peptide that increases the body's natural production of growth hormone without any concomitant side effects, which come from other peptides that increase IGF-1, which is interstitial growth fluid, which is prolactin and cortisol. Now, everybody that watches your show know what cortisol is. Sleep, stress hormones, can cause fat gain and insulin issues, imbalances. Prolactin is the stuff, you know, you don't want, as a man, you don't want to have high prolactin because it obviously increases that you can get man boobs and you can get, you know, an excretion and all that stuff. But anyway, prolactin is a hormone that you want to keep under control. And some peptides, not the ones that we recommend, but some peptides, like especially in the old days when there was like GHRP2 and 6 and all these other things, they increase prolactin and cortisol formation. So ipamorelin is the only peptide that does not disturb any of those other hormonal balances or cycles. So when you use it, it literally is just helping your body's natural production in the pancreas of growth hormone, of natural growth hormone release. So you could probably get away with using ipamorelin for like cycles of 3 months, you know, to 4 months, take 4 to 6 weeks off and then go back on it. Ipamorelin for women is magic. Like if you have a wife or a girlfriend, or, you know, she wants to get leaner, or you want her to get leaner, or whatever she wants to look better in a bikini. I mean, ipamorelin works better than anything. You can also combine ipamorelin with tesamorelin. Now, here's the thing. Limitless doesn't sell Tessa right now. He's working on getting tesamorelin is actually a FDA approved peptide for men who suffer from HIV. It's actually called a Grifta, EGRIFTA. It's extremely expensive. Go figure, right? They sell it to guys who have AIDS, but it has a special proprietary formulation that when you inject it right into the belly for men, it tears through visceral body fat that is deposited from guys that have that condition through HIV. I don't know as much enough about HIV as I probably should, but I guess guys get a lot of belly fat. So in normal guys, when you use tesamorelin, it literally is like a hot knife through butter through belly fat. You know, when I did this photo shoot for this book, Guaranteed Shredded or whatever, and I got absolutely diced, I was using tesamorelin for about 4 to 5 weeks before I did that photo shoot. And that stuff just absolutely shreds you. But again, right now it's very difficult to get. There are some peptide companies out there like Peptide Sciences, and there's 1 or 2 other ones that sell it. But again, as I always say, I don't disclaim, I'm not going to disparage other peptide companies, but if I don't recommend them, I don't think that their products are the best. I'm not saying that they're not good. I'm sure they make a great product, but you know, I'm only going to recommend products that I can test and I can look at it. I can understand like you're getting what you're getting, because that's very important to disclose that, right? Like research chemical companies have no scrutiny. There's no governing bodies or, you know, any panels or anybody looking at it. So, you know, make sure that if you're going to use a research chemical company that you either test it or you make sure you're working with somebody that actually is looking at the products and knowing, you know, that somebody who trusts you recommend. Because there are other, you know, peptide companies out there, you know, Jean Fawn at Can Labs or Can Labs, you know, he makes good products. But just be careful, you know, and be wary when you buy peptides from research chemical companies.
Okay, so I mean, we have time for about one more. I mean, there's a ton on here, and there's some really advanced peptides. And I know this is probably for some newer guys, like drinking from a fire hose. Like,
sure.
Oh, I didn't know that you could do all this, or the effectiveness of all these things. But I mean, you know, I'm watching the viewer count right now, and if I was talking about chasing tail, you know, there'd be 1,000 people watching live, but right now there's not. So I don't make a lot of these broadcasts, but these broadcasts are valuable for the you know, for the reasons that we've mentioned. You know, if you want to age as slowly as possible and live in a healthy, you know, I'm going to call it a seasoned body, you know, a nice seasoned masculine body. These are some of the components that you can introduce into your life and your protocol that will improve that. Again, this is mostly for guys that are older, or if you're younger, the healing compounds like BPC 157 and TB 500, if you have muscle issues or joint issues, can help repair them. Pick one more that you want to cover, Jay, and you know, we'll throw it up and deal with that last one.
Yeah, so I think probably the best one to cover then right now in the world of COVID and all the BS that it encompasses, regardless of your viewpoints on it, is Thymus and Alpha1, which is called TA1. So this is a incredibly powerful.
That'd be this one.
That's it. So this peptide it massively improves and increases immunity. So if you're using Thymus and Alpha1, living a very low inflammation, you know, what I call fully optimized. I got to get used to my room here now. A fully optimized lifestyle. Thymus and Alpha1 is a really good supplement / adjunct to add to enhance immunity. It's just a very, very profound immunoregulator. You there are doctors that I talk to on a daily basis that like recommend with all their high level anti-aging and life extension patients, like again, especially in this COVID world right now, because it's going to again massively improve your body's immunoregulatory response. So essentially, if you get sick, a flu, if you get COVID, anything, this peptide is going to massively improve your body's immunity. And again, upregulate all the different biological systems without going into esoteric discussion of what it does. And you can use micro doses of this. So, again, like without giving out a protocol, and I can if we want to do that, in the notes later, you can use this like 5 days on, 2 days off, and probably do it like, every other week year round. Right. Because your body is
injectable.
Like,
so where would you put this? Like in your belly fat and your glutes?
Yeah. I mean, so it's a good question. I mean, you should inject peptides wherever you're comfortable injecting them. Now, obviously, if you're traumatized from an injury, an acute injury, a sprain, a tear, a torn ligament or something like that, you want to inject into the origin of the injury as much as possible. But some people can't do that. Let's say you tear your knee. There is a way. I think you've demonstrated it before, Richard. You can pinch the skin on your knee, right, and just inject into the pinched skin above your knee. So there's ways around it. Again, you're using a 31 gauge needle, so you're not going to feel it. But wherever you feel comfortable injecting a peptide, I recommend do it. But for Thymus and Alpha1, I would just inject in the belly fat for sure.
And the same thing with Epitalon?
Same thing. Yep. Center mass. I mean, there are guys out there, really smart guys, that say injecting peptides, parentally, which is intramuscularly, is still better than in the fat tissue. And again, because it's blood flow, right? There's better, healthier blood flow in muscle than there is in fat. Yeah. So, I mean, but ultimately it's just where you're comfortable injecting. It's still going to hit you biologically.
Cool. Let me grab this question here from a channel member on YouTube. He says, is there any benefits of using mod GRF129 without DAC? I don't even know what that is.
Yeah. So basically, basically modified GRF129 is also another name for CGC 129 with or without DAC. So here's my take on CGC. A lot of people use CGC, which is again modified GRF. And GRF is growth hormone releasing factor. A lot of people use it in combination with peptides like ipamorelin and tesamorelin now, because again, the way it works is it enhances the growth hormone releasing effect. The issue for me is that it's too powerful. It's too profound. You don't want that much growth hormone releasing elements going into your body at the same time. Again, for specific reasons, it's okay. But for guys like you and I, just trying to, increase and improve our aging process, you don't really need it. I know a lot of peptide companies now are selling them in combination in the same vial. So you see IPA and CGC or modified GRF together. I'm not a big proponent of them. When I use them, of course, I've experimented every way. When I use them, I would feel like a weird sensation when I injected, because again, what happens with modified GRF or CGC 195 is that you get like that feeling you get when you take niacin, you get a flushed feeling. I kind of got that feeling when I would inject it. And again, it's because it's such a profound increase in growth hormone or IGF-1 that your body's going to notice that. You will get a good, decent synergy from using it, but I've just found that it's too much and you don't need it. And you'll get the same result from just using the peptides in isolation.
Do you take growth hormone?
I've used growth hormone, but I do not. Now, the reason I don't use growth hormone, and this is important for guys, is that using growth hormone long-term can actually create or cause gestational diabetes, even in men. And what I mean by that is that it increases insulin resistance. And they know this. There's tons of science and data behind this. So a lot of wealthy, older men and women who have been using growth hormone, say since they're, in their 40s and now they're in their 60s, they have like a line of belly fat, or just like a line of visceral fat where they've been injecting, because that's where they have insulin resistance from growth hormone. So I'm not a big proponent of growth hormone, even though it does do a lot of things clinically that are good for, aging. I highly recommend peptides over growth hormone, because you're not going to get that. Well, first, two things happen, right? You use growth hormone, your body stops producing growth hormone.
Yeah.
So now you're relying on that growth hormone. And then the second thing is it causes insulin resistance over time, whereas peptides are just increasing the body's natural release of your own growth hormone. However, if you're a 55-year-old dude and you're fat and you don't take care of yourself and you don't have any natural growth hormone anymore, then peptides aren't going to do as much as growth hormone will. So again, it's just going to depend on that person, but I am not a big proponent of growth hormone for those reasons.
Yeah, aside from TRT, I think growth hormone is what I get the second most questions on. I've never used it. I remember asking my doctor, from my clinic, if he prescribes it. He says no for two reasons. One, he doesn't want to get in trouble.
Right.
And two, it's really, really expensive. I think he said it's like over $1,000 a month.
Well, so it's come down. Yeah. I mean, dude, in America, it's way more expensive than that, but it actually, there's competitor now. There's competitive products in the marketplace that are obviously generics. But it's still, if pound for pound inference, microgram for microgram, I would take tesamorellin's fat loss capabilities over any growth hormone.
So here's an interesting story, because shortly after I asked him that question, I was using ipamorelin, and I just said to him, look, if my levels drop on GH, would you script it to me in the future? And he was like, he's kind of dancing. I'm like, blink twice if you would. He's like, okay, yeah. Anyway, so I said, let's just keep tracking it, just to see where it's at, because I had no idea where my GH levels were, right? So in the next set of blood labs, we ran the GH, and it was like right at the top of the range. And he was accusing me of using GH outside of that from an underground lab. I'm like, no, dude, I've never used it. So between the combination of being able to lift heavier when you're on TRT, which induces GH production in your body, especially if you're getting good restful sleep, and I think the combination with what I was taking with a peptide, that just pushed my numbers right through the roof, like basically naturally. So
yeah, absolutely.
Little tip for you guys that keep asking about GH, you don't really need it, I don't think.
Well, so great info. Probably even better would be get levels. Guys like
you're breaking up on your audio again, man. Just kind of back up about 5 seconds and say that again.
So you guys can get IGF-1 levels tested, and you can do it pretty much anywhere. And that is going to tell you how much your natural growth hormone you have. Like the more Northern European ancestry you have, the higher IGF-1 levels you're going to have. So if you have high natural growth hormone levels, there's really no need whatsoever to take growth hormone. But again, because peptides are only working on enhancing your body's natural production of what you already have, that's why, again, peptides, solve a lot of problems for pretty much anybody genetically.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, we've cranked out about an hour of really useful content. I hope you guys got some value out of it. If you're watching the replay and the chat's not up, pinned in the top comment are the links for everything that we've talked about if you want to grab some for yourself. Is there a good blog or a resource for people to go and learn more, or like a discussion forum when it comes to peptides if they want to learn more?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I don't really like giving out anything specifically online because there's so much bro science, and there's a lot of bro scientists that are patrolling a lot of those places. I mean, the best.
I know you have a lot of videos on your channel in the last 90 days.
Yeah, no, there's tons of stuff.
You guys should watch those.
Yeah, there's tons of stuff. And let me give guys a link for watching this. We just actually, my website people and I just created this about 2 months ago, but you and I haven't done a show in a while. So it's Jay Campbell, JAYC Campbell.com/free books. And you will get the TOT Bible, which, as you know, Richard, has a whole giant chapter on peptides and agents of change in there. And then you'll also get my fasting book, which is called The Blowtorch Diet, which also has a lot of anti-aging and peptide stuff information in there. But in that link is probably every good podcast and interview I've done on all these things, on anti-aging, living fully optimized. There's a lot of like A-list people that I've done interviews and stuff with that are all in this link. So if you just go there, you can download those 2 books for free, and then you can also get much more information.
Can you just give the link again? Because I just Google searched it and I got nothing that came up.
Yeah, it's JAY. It's hidden. It's JAYC Campbell, CAMPBELL.com/free books. And yeah, just put it in the link.
Yeah. Okay. When you send me the notes by email, just give it to me all there, and I'll just copy and paste it into the
for sure.
link.
We'll put this video in there too, because this has been really amazing, dude.
All right, cool. So there you go, guys. Oh, here it is. So here, I'll just copy and paste it down here. Copy, paste, boom. If not, send me the link when you send me the email for the show notes. All right, guys, smash the like button. Leave me a comment below if you like this broadcast and you want to see more of this stuff, or if you've got a proposed topic you want me and Jay to cover again in the future. Is your YouTube channel still called Jay Campbell?
Yeah, it's just Jay. I think it's Jay Campbell. We put a number on there because somebody's cyberhawking at 333.
Okay, so just go to YouTube and search for Jay Campbell, and you'll find his channel. He's got lots of good resources in the last 90 days on peptides. I've certainly been a subscriber for a long time and watched it. So check that out. Thanks, Jay. Appreciate it, man.
Richard, man, love you, brother. Appreciate you.
Thank you.